Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. A Heart of Ice and Ash. Episode 8. Chapter 87a. Damien makes a strangled noise in the background, but I'm staring at Winter and Kai, wanting to intervene and knowing that I can't. He's really going to let her become bait in a trap. My own hands clench into fists under the table. I can't believe she wants to do this. I want to beg her not to. I didn't come all this way, travel through so many packs, so that she could put herself in harm's way. I'll do everything you ask of me, Winter answers, and I sigh. Well, that was that. I guess I'm staying after all and helping. Winter reaches down and takes hold of Kai's hand. I'm tired, she says gently, let's go to bed. She looks at all of us, but I look away, feeling very disgruntled and angry. I know Damien will be sleeping in Langdon's house and Winter will be with Kai. I've already been shown the guest room. They take their leave and then Langdon turns to Damien. Shall we, he says, offering his arm to Damien, who reluctantly takes it. I stare obstinately at the table, wanting to smash my fist right through it. I feel sick to my stomach. If Winter is going to put herself as bait, then I was going to be one of the ones constantly patrolling, whether Alpha Kai likes it or not. I'm not letting Winter be hurt, not under my watch, not again. I wasn't going to fail her this time. I promised myself, this time I would save her, even if it was from herself. Winter POV. I say good night to my brother and Jonathan, still not quite believing they are here or that they traveled so much to warn me about Thomas. I know I've made them angry and annoyed at my suggestion of being bait, but this is my life and I refuse to live it afraid of one man who is after me. I've managed to survive Candace and everything she's done to me, so I refuse to let this one person, Thomas, best me now. Not when I feel stronger and more assured of myself than ever. Kai seems to sense my determination, because to my absolute shock, he agrees with my suggestion. Maybe he too knows that I'm desperate for this all to end. I just want to live my life without having to constantly check over my shoulder. We walk upstairs to the bedroom and I feel well inspired, feisty and brave all at the same time. I'm on edge and I don't know why. Sabriel is purring in my mind. I think it's because you want him again. After all, the day after our first night together was kind of ruined. I want to take the initiative this time. Is that surprising, Sabriel? Not really. You're becoming more confident and self-assured. It's not surprising that it's starting to flow into other aspects of your life as well. You're growing as a person, but more importantly as a woman. If you want him, then show him. How do I do that, Sabriel? I don't want to make a fool of myself. Something tells me you'll work it out, and trust me, babe, you won't make a fool of yourself. That man wants you and he wants you bad. He's probably just waiting for you to make the next move, especially with what you went through. Guess I'm doing it then. That's what I'm talking about, girl. Go get some. Sabriel cheers. Kai is staring at me, probably wondering what I was talking to my wolf about. I'm not about to enlighten him. I like my conversations with Sabriel way too much to divulge anything we do or speak about together. Instead, I stare him direct in the eyes and stride over, gently placing my lips against his as he starts in shock. God, his lips are rough, but he tastes so sweet, and I lightly trace them with my tongue until he opens his mouth up, delving inside and lightly dancing with his own tongue. His hands grip me tightly around the waist, and he pushes his lips harder against me as I moan. I feel his hands moving under my shirt and reluctantly stop him as he stares in confusion. I smirk. I'm in charge, I rasp, and his eyes widen in disbelief, but he stands there, waiting as I lick my lips and look him all over hungrily. My hands go to his chest and I slowly, carefully, teasingly, begin to undo the buttons on his shirt, letting it drop to the floor. My hands move over his chest, feeling, my head lowering down to kiss him along his navel as he trembles beneath me. I take my time. I want to feel him all over. Want to make him feel as adored as he makes me feel. I drop to my knees and his eyes glisten down at me as I slowly, reverently, begin to pull his pants down. He's not wearing any underwear, not a complete shocker considering it's one less piece of clothing to deal with when dressing in a hurry. I almost drool. I want to taste him, my mouth watering already. He looks like he's about to pull me up and I shake my head at him. I want to taste you, I say, and watch his eyes darken. You didn't ruin it, I assure Kai. He smiles, looking very relieved. There's a slight stinging pain between my legs and I feel a little uncomfortable. Kai, gentleman that he is, senses it. Wait here, he says, kissing me on the nose. I watch him disappear into the bathroom and then hear the sound of running water. God, I hope it's for the bathtub. I need to soak in water and get rid of this stinging pain. He comes back with a washcloth. He spreads my legs and then gingerly begins to wipe me down, cleaning me up as I wince from the stinging. Bath, he says firmly, and I nod, standing up and walking towards the bathroom, Kai whistling behind me. Well, he's in a good mood, but then who wouldn't be after sex? Ah, the blessed relief of the water is divine as I sink into it. I lean back against the bathtub, Kai having a shower at the same time as I eye him like candy. I'm already feeling aroused and I look away embarrassed even as my mate smirks at me. I'd take you again, but I think you might be in too much pain, he says with a grin. I blush despite myself. Just so you know, he teases, you can take me anytime you want, princess. I throw a shower puff at him as he laughs. Then I settle back against the bathtub. I'm too relaxed to be mad at his teasing. I feel myself yawning. After that marathon, I feel completely drained. Kai sees me almost falling asleep and wraps a towel around himself. Winter, he says softly as I stare up at him, my eyes blurry. He gives a chuckle and drains the water, picking me up and wrapping me in a towel, heading back into the bedroom and making a beeline for the bed. I'm cold, I protest when he places me in the bed. I'll warm you, he growls, climbing in beside me. He pulls me against his chest and throws the bed covers over us. My eyes close as his body heat begins to warm me up. Before long I'm sound asleep. The last thing I remember is Kai kissing me on the forehead. Langdon POV. I take Damien out to what I like to refer to as my bachelor pad. Not that it's going to continue to be one, not if I now have a mate. He looks so timid. Does he honestly think I'm going to jump his bones, right here and now? Especially since we're both adjusting to the fact that our mate is another male? I mean, I never in a million years thought that would be the case. I'm not against gay people, I just envisioned a female as my mate. doesn't mean I feel too disappointed either. After all, mates are meant to be a blessing from the moon goddess herself. I doubt she makes mistakes. Or at least I like to think she doesn't. She is a goddess after all. I'm holding Damien's hand and his cheeks are flushed as he gazes around the small house I own. He looks impressed, but I'm far more interested in him. Is Winter going to be okay? He asks suddenly. I mean in that house with that man. He looks awfully fierce, he says apprehensively, narrowing his eyes. I almost scoff at him. Kai is a big teddy bear once you get to know him. But he does have a reputation to uphold. Surely he's not serious? Sure, but he wouldn't hurt Winter, at least not now. The man was completely besotted with her and she was with him. I've never seen such a perfect couple. They are completely infatuated with each other, and I happen to know that Kai's told her he loves her. The furthest he's ever gone in a relationship. Kai loves Winter, I say, turning to Damien indignantly. She loves him as well, you should know. His eyes widen. I didn't think it was that serious, he says lowly. Is he completely oblivious? I'm starting to wonder about his intelligence. Winter and Kai have gone through a lot together. Trust me when I tell you she's completely safe with him. He doesn't look convinced and I sigh, leading him into my bedroom where he stops short, looking absolutely terrified. I thought you were joking about sleeping in the same room, he blurts out, letting go of my hand. I stiffen. I wasn't joking. His face goes ashen. Is he really that terrified to share the same room as me? I consider him, taking in the way he's breathing unevenly, the flush on his cheeks. He's either really scared or really embarrassed. Or both. I told you we were only going to share the bed, nothing else, I say, a little annoyed. Surely you're not that much of a fraidy cat. His eyes widen. I'm not afraid, he tells me, and I just move my head at him, a small smile on my face. Oh, he's scared all right, he just doesn't want to admit it. He's adorable, my wolf tells me, and I have to agree. I know he's slightly older than Winter, which means there's less of an age gap between us than there is between Kai and her. Then what's the problem, I huff out. He blushes and looks away. It's just that, how do I know you won't try anything, he mumbles. How about because I've given you my word, I growl, and he gasps as I walk up to him, my eyes staring into his, my face only inches away from his own. He looks like a deer caught in headlights. All I want to do is sleep in the same bed as you, I say firmly, that's all. He bites his lip but nods. Thank God for that. He's making me grumpy, and not because I'm tired. Suddenly I can't seem to look away from him, my eyes gazing deeply into his, those lips of his tempting me. I try my best to hold out, but suddenly it becomes too much to bear, being this close to him and smelling his delicious scent. I close the gap between us, holding his head in my hands and leaning forward to press my lips against his. He flinches and then moans as I lick his lips, demanding access. He opens his mouth and I begin to plunder it. God, he tastes so good, feels so incredible as I continue to deepen the kiss, my hands moving down to the back of his neck as I hold on tightly. My hands begin to caress his arms and he makes no move to stop me, his own eyes closing in what I hope is bliss. My whole body is thrumming with desire and the need to ravish him, but I'm careful to step slightly back, not wanting Damien to feel the erection poking through my pants. The last thing I need to do is scare the poor kid with that. He'll definitely run away if he knows. I feel my wolf coming dangerously close to the surface and will him to stay back, focusing on the kiss and the feel of my mate in my arms. His moans are turning me on and I'm barely holding it together. Slowly, reluctantly, I pull back, watching as Damien's eyes slowly flutter open. He looks to be in complete shock, whereas I'm smirking at him. I can't help it. He was so damn responsive to the kiss that it makes me wonder how responsive he'd be underneath me as I take him. That was Damien murmurs. Trailing off. Fantastic, mind-blowing, I suggest cheekily, folding my arms across my chest. He gives a shy nod. I didn't know it could feel like that, Damien mutters. I've never felt like this with a girl. Neither have I, although I suspect it might have felt something like this with Candace, if she'd been willing to be mates instead of rejecting me in favor of Kai. I'll never know for sure. I turn back to the bed and he sidles closer to me, not looking anywhere as apprehensive as he'd initially been when we entered the room. Do you have a preference? I ask him and he blinks at me looking confused. I mean, as to what side to sleep on? Does it matter? I clarify and he slowly shakes his head. Feel free to sleep, I say wryly, watching as his face turns as red as a tomato. I think I'll sleep in my pants, he says shyly, taking his t-shirt off as I watch. My God, I think my heart just skipped a beat. He's glorious to behold, his abdomen taut with a six-pack. There's no hair on his chest either. My eyes involuntarily dip to the waistband of his sweatpants, my own body tightening with arousal. Keep it together, Langdon, I mutter to myself in my mind. I shrug out of my own shirt and Damien looks flustered. Is it my imagination or is he staring down at a certain part of me? Well, how interesting is that? How about you climb in first, I suggest. It's the part closest to the wall and means he'd literally have to climb over me to get out of the bed. I don't even feel bad about that. All right, Damien mutters, walking forward and gingerly climbing into the bed, scooting over quickly. Do you want some water or anything first? I offer, trying to at least be a good host. He shakes his head. I shrug. Well, can't say I didn't try. I get in, pulling the bed covers over us both. I'm not surprised when Damien rolls over with his back to me. I swear he's trying to drill holes in the wall with his staring. I move over, until I'm almost touching him and pull him back slightly as he wriggles in surprise. What are you doing? He sputters indignantly. Cuddling with my mate, I say calmly, pulling him so that his back is against my chest. My arm over the side of him. But I don't want to cuddle, he exclaims and I sigh. Shame. I let go of him and he scoots back close to the wall. I'm not going to lie, that stung, but I'm not about to force him to do something he doesn't want to do. I try to content myself with the fact that he's at least in the bed with me. That's progress, right? His body is so stiff and tense though, that I can't see him falling asleep comfortably. I spread myself out. Just because he's curled up into a small ball, doesn't mean I have to be uncomfortable with him. It looks like it's going to be a long night. Much to my astonishment though, it's only several minutes later when Damien begins to snore, his body relaxing in his sleep. Man, he's loud, I think to myself with a chuckle. But he's definitely out of it. He's even spread himself out somewhat, so that his leg is touching mine. He's also come a lot closer to me, and as I watch, out of the corner of my eye, he backs up so that he's pressed against me. I have to smile. Even though he denies wanting to be near me, his body seems to have a mind of its own. Or maybe it's the mate bond working. It's hard to say. I pull him against me, feeling his back against my chest. He feels so good, so warm. His breathing evens out and his snoring goes quieter as I tentatively place my arm over the side of his body. His hair spreads out on my pillow and I wrinkle my nose as his hair touches me. I settle down, but I can't seem to stop staring at him. Everything about him is utter perfection. His jaw is strong, even clenched in his sleep. His hair is silky, even after spending so much time in the woods, and his skin is deep golden and tanned from being outdoors so much. There's a roughness to him, the stubble on his face making him look more masculine. Just the way I like it, I realize, touching his hair softly with my hand. He wriggles in response and I stop before I accidentally wake him up. My eyes close. I try hard not to think about my first mate, but Candace always comes to mind, whether I want her to or not. The pain of her rejecting me is still as fresh as the day it happened. Maybe with my mate, Damien, the pain will fade and go away. That is, if he decides he wants to be mates. The whole male thing has thrown both of us for a loop after all, even thought it's not exactly uncommon with werewolves. I don't want to reject him. My wolf has already wholeheartedly accepted Damien, wanting him just as much as I do. The tension in my body begins to fade and I feel myself becoming drowsy. I wonder what Damien is dreaming about. Maybe he's dreaming about me? I feel my breathing evening out and my eyes becoming heavy. I'm tired, drained from the day's events. I'm exhausted. I also know that Kai is going to want to see me early tomorrow morning, especially with Winter's dangerous plan. I decide to enjoy my mate's company by my side and tighten my grip on him possessively. Damien is mine and no one is going to take him from me. I don't care what it takes to persuade him to remain mates, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm not about to let my second chance mate reject me as well, not if I can help it. I fall asleep, my snores mixing with Damien's, my body curled up against his, my lips pressed against his head. Neither of us move away from each other during the night while we sleep, and when I wake up the very next morning, there is a massive smile on my face. You really cannot fight the mate bond. It was pointless to even try. Winter POV. I wake up to Kai giving my nose a kiss. I giggle at him. Good morning, sweetheart, he chirps. I guess he's one of those annoying morning people that wake up happy. I curl up in my blanket and eye him sleepily. I would much rather stay in bed. He knows I'm not a morning person because he lets out a giant huff of resignation as he climbs out of bed. He makes a beeline for the bathroom and I close my eyes, so sleepy that I want to go back to sleep. Then I hear the sound of running water and he comes back out, a smile on his face. Damn him for looking so cute, I think grumpily. It made it hard to be mad at him for waking me up. Winter, we really should get ready for the day, Kai tells me, and I just groan and roll over. It's so nice and warm under the blankets and I whine as he tries to take them off me. It's too cold, I mumble, and he laughs out loud. I started the shower for you, he offers as I blink up at him, unamused. He picks me up as I shriek, kicking and wriggling in his arms. His eyes are gleaming now and he places me in the bathroom, folding his arms across his chest and staring me right in the face as I glare at him, my teeth chattering together from the cold. Shower, he orders, and I glare at him some more, reluctantly getting in. Ah! The water is warm, perfect, just the way I like it, and as I warm up, I begin to eye Kai, who's standing there, a smile on his face. I can't believe it, but I open my mouth and almost purr. You could come join me. Yes girl, get adventurous, that's the spirit, Winter. I cannot believe I just said that to him. You better believe it, all right, I'm so proud of you. I don't think it's something to be proud of, Sabriel, I sound like a real hornbag. So? Kai opens the shower door and I back up to give him room. His eyes are black now, his wolf close to the surface, and I swallow nervously. What have I done? He smirks at me as he grabs the washcloth. Calm down, he teases me. This was your idea, wasn't it? Yeah, but I guess I was hoping he wouldn't take me up on it. Stupid, really. He begins to wash me everywhere. I think I'll leave you to finish getting washed up, before this turns into round 2, he says with a grin. I watch him walk away reluctantly. We totally could have gone another round, Winter. Should we call him back? No. I'm actually pretty sore right now and we do have things to do today. Fine, but I got to tell you, that was totally hot right there. I'm all hot and bothered. Sabriel. All right. I'm going. But I still think you're getting pretty adventurous and I like it. I finish washing myself up, especially between my legs, and stumble out of the shower. Kai, I notice, slightly disappointed, is already dressed in his comfortable sweatpants and shirt. I would have liked to watch him getting dressed. He gives me a smile. Can I steal your sweatpants and top? I mumble, wanting them as comfort and because they smell like him. He raises an eyebrow but shrugs and fetches them for me, throwing them as I catch them easily. I put them on. What's the plan? I ask, in a far better mood now than I was when he first woke me up. I guess the endorphins will do that to you. Or maybe it's just getting late in general. He smirks. Breakfast and talking to your brother and butthead, he mutters. I think you mean Jonathan, I say wryly with a roll of my eyes. He just chuckles. Please don't call him butthead, I mutter, it's not polite, Kai. I can think of 100 different names I'd like to call him, Kai argues back, and I just sigh. I'm not about to get in an argument with the stubborn man. Let's go downstairs, he says, holding out his arm to me and waiting for me to take it. We'll get some breakfast and discuss this plan of yours properly. Besides, Langdon has mind-linked me and I happen to know that Damien and him are waiting for us in the dining area. I smile. Can you believe that Langdon and my brother are mates? I ask enthusiastically. I wonder how last night went. I think you should not ask that, Kai said with laughter in his voice. Some things between a brother and sister should remain private. Unless you want to tell him what we were up to last night and this morning. Ew, no, I exclaim, seeing his point. We begin to walk downstairs and into the kitchen. Kai gives me a peck on the cheek. What do you want for breakfast? He asks. I eye him thoughtfully. I'm pretty sure he can't cook because I haven't really seen him in the kitchen and Omegas normally fetch him food. Cereal, I answer, watching as his face looks relieved. Yep, pretty sure the man can't cook. Still, at least he was nice enough to offer. I join the others at the table, seeing that Langdon and Damien have already finished eating and Jonathan is scowling down at a bowl of cereal. Did he not like it? Kai comes back and shoves a bowl in front of me. I start to eat, Kai sitting beside me, and then push the bowl aside when I'm finished. No one speaks. But, I do notice with a smile, that Langdon is holding Damien's hand under the table. How adorable is that? So Kai says, all business now that he's finished eating. We need to discuss the plan that Winter came up with last night. About that I pipe in, if I'm going to be bait, then you need to reduce security measures, not increase them. You actually have to give Thomas the opportunity to come and get me. Kai looks displeased by this, Jonathan looks pissed. It's a stupid plan, Jonathan mutters, looking at me coldly. You'll get yourself killed this way. I'm hurt. Jonathan, this is the best way. Otherwise it's going to take too long. You really want to be away from your pack for a long period of time? I ask pointedly. He looks away. Look, Winter has a point. I might not like it either, but I can see where she's coming from, Damien says with a sigh. I think her plan is the best one to go with. We just have to be extra cautious and plan for everything, every contingency we can think of. I agree with that. So does Kai. We bend our heads together and the whole table begins to speak in hushed whispers as everyone offers their opinion on what to do. Everyone, except Jonathan, that is. Winter POV. I'm not sure exactly that this is going to work. I've been walking in the woods for several days now and there hasn't been a single peep or attempt from Thomas. Maybe he decided it wasn't worth it to come after me? A girl can hope, right? Maybe he even found his mate on his travels. Wouldn't that be something? Then he wouldn't need me, would he? Girl, you are way too optimistic for your own good. Winter, isn't it better to be an optimist than a pessimist, Sabriel? Besides, it could happen, right? Maybe, but at this rate, you're just avoiding the truth. He hasn't found his mate and he's still coming for you. You can't afford to let your guard down, girl. But it's been days, Sabriel, not just a few, it's been almost a week and nothing's happened. Doesn't mean we let our guard down. That man is insane, or have you forgotten the last incident? I might not have been there for that, but I can access your memories and they're not good ones. I know. But I was weaker back then with no wolf. Now I have you. Your confidence in me is very humbling. I love you, Sabriel. Love you the mostest, girl. I sigh. The sun looks like it's going to set soon and my legs are tired. Damien, Jonathan, Langdon, and of course Kai, are all stationed around the grounds. There's 2 snipers, but I'm not holding my breath. Being in the forest means taking a shot is going to be difficult with all the trees and overhanging branches. My stomach is growling with hunger. I mind link Kai, feeling annoyed and very hungry. Both are not a good combination for me. It makes me extremely grumpy. Kai, I'm going to come in a few minutes. Nothing's happening out here. I don't think he's out there. I don't sense anything in the woods either. This wait is driving me crazy. How do you think I feel? I'm the one who's out here for bait. I know, sweetheart, I just hate waiting. Well, so do I, you might as well tell the others to head inside. This is just a complete waste of time. Plus I'm hungry. Do you want the snipers to stay? Yes, at least until I've made my way back to the pack house. I feel safer that way. No problems, I'll meet you back at the pack house. Meet you there. I shut the mind link off and sigh. At least the sunset is beautiful, I think to myself wryly. I always did like to watch it set. Would it really hurt to spend a few more minutes out here before heading inside? Considering it seems to be fairly safe. I wish Kai was out here to watch it with me. It would have been very romantic, well, maybe except for the tension of waiting for Thomas to make his move. If he didn't make it soon, I was going to go insane. I can see the glint of the snipers as I wander slowly back to the grounds. The sunlight makes it stand out, and I make a mental note to let Kai know about that. The sound of rustling leaves makes me stiffen and slowly turn. But there's a breeze which explains the noise, but then I hear the crack of a twig. My heart begins to thump wildly in my chest. Get a grip, Winter, I chide myself. Remember that the snipers are still out there and you can mind link for help if need be. Stop being such a wuss. A rabbit comes out of the woodworks and skids upon seeing me. I almost laugh at the absurdness of it all. I just let myself be frightened by a goddamned animal. I shake my head and chuckle. Wait until I told Kai this, he'd laugh his absolute as off. So would Damien. I smile at that. Damien and Langdon have gotten closer the last few days. Not so close that I think they've done the deed, but close enough to show some signs of public affection. They hold hands and I've even caught them kissing once or twice. Damien went as red as a beetroot when I caught them. I think it's sweet. They look so handsome together and Langdon is a really good catch, at least as far as I'm concerned. After being rejected by Candace, he more than deserves to be happy. I just hope Damien doesn't break his heart, like Candace did. He still hasn't made his mind up about continuing to be mates with Langdon, but the way they act around each other gives me hope that they'll agree to it. Besides, Damien really seems to be into him and I know Langdon feels the same way. I still can't work Jonathan out. He constantly seems to be in a bad mood and scowling at me. I don't understand why he felt the need to travel all this way and help me after all this time apart. Not to mention, he chose to reject me, not the other way around. Is he upset that I've finally found my happiness with my second chance mate? Because he had his chance and he made his choice. If he's regretting it, that's on him, not me. I just wish he'd smile more or at least try to be happy for me. Instead he's coming across as a jealous ex-boyfriend and that's alarming me right there. What if he turns out to be another Thomas? I don't care how nice he seems to be, when it comes to Jonathan I'm not letting my guard down. Part of me thinks he's here for some other ulterior motive and even Sabriel agrees. Kai seems to be readily accepting of Damien and Langdon being mates, even though I know he still holds a grudge towards my brother for the past and how he treated me. They might not get along real well at the moment, but I can see that he's slowly softening towards Damien a little bit. That's all I really want for him to do, was try to get along. After all, there's every chance that Damien will want to stay with Langdon, which means he'll most probably fingers crossed, end up living here in this pack. Then I'll have my brother close to me. That sounds awesome. Especially since Damien is making every effort to spend quality time with me whenever he can, well, at least when he can force himself away from his mate Langdon. They make such a cute couple. Langdon looks happy. After Candace, he deserves a mate that cares for him, so if Damien stuffs this up, I'm going to kill him. I sigh and breathe in the cool evening air. It's starting to get slightly chilly and the sun has fully set. I've been so lost in my thoughts that time has completely passed me by without me being aware of it. No doubt Kai is probably wondering where I am and what's taking me so long to get back. But it's only been a few minutes from what I can tell, so he shouldn't be too angry. After all, I am entitled to some peace and quiet when I can get it, aren't I? Especially since I've been on edge for hours now. I walk to the edge of the grounds and lift my arm up. That's strange, the sniper rifles can't be seen anymore, but then I realize with the sunlight gone, I'm not going to be able to see them. I shrug. Then I hear a strange whirring sound and spin around, only to feel something embed itself in my leg. It stings. I curse out loud, glancing down to see a tranquilizer dart in my leg. No, 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 this can't be happening, I chant to myself. Why didn't I go back to the pack house instead of wasting time out here? I can smell the scent of wolfsbane and stiffen, pulling the dart out, blood trickling from the wound. Great, now I can't even mind link for help. My eyes frantically scan the grounds but there's no sign of anyone. I begin to limp towards the pack house but there's a sudden rush of wind and the next thing I know, I'm being swept up off the floor, by a pair of incredibly strong arms. My body feels heavy, too heavy, and my limbs don't want to cooperate or move when I try it. I'm turned away and the person, whoever it is, takes me deeper into the woods instead. My vision is blurry and I blink several times to focus. I open my mouth to scream but all that comes out is a gurgle. How much wolfsbane was in that dart? I stare up into the person's face, confused. This wasn't Thomas? Was it? His eyes are a glowing red, and his arms are heavily muscled, his body more thick than I remember. He stares down at me, smirking, his arms gripping me so tightly it's painful. I'm helpless, feeling like a rag doll as he runs. He's fast. Incredibly fast. The trees pass by in a blur, I can tell, even with my blurred vision, and he's faster than a shifter is. Is this the result of him being a hybrid? I can also smell the metallic scent of blood on him, seeing small droplets on his clothes. Who did he kill? I suck in a breath. Did he kill the snipers? Was that why I couldn't see them? Or had he killed patrol warriors? My God, I'm responsible for someone's death. At least Damien and the others were safe in the pack house, or at least I hoped they had been. Has Kai noticed I'm missing yet? I can't mind link to my frustration and my stupid body won't move, not that I want Thomas to drop me. So far, he hasn't said a single word. I can feel nausea and realize it's due to the wolfsbane he's given me, my stomach rolling and bile rising up in my throat. It's taking all my concentration not to be sick on him. I finally have you, he chuckles darkly and my spirits plummet. I would know that voice anywhere. It haunts me in my dreams at nighttime. It's definitely Thomas. I try to speak again, but again just a garbled mutter. He laughs. Don't worry, the wolf's bane isn't a fatal amount. It will wear off and then I'll give you another dosage, he tells me. Not exactly reassuring. If he continues to give me wolf's bane, it means keeping me weak, and if I'm weak then I can't fight back. I shudder at the thought of him having complete control over me. I don't even want to think about why he wants the complete control, not after the last incident. I already know. I would rather die than go through that again. He's careful, leaping over branches, the wind blowing my hair around every which way. My eyelids are heavy, I struggle to keep them open. The last thing I want to do is fall asleep. There's a twisted smile on Thomas's face and I notice the large fangs protruding out of his mouth. It's true then, that he's half vampire, half shifter now. God, please don't let him drain my blood, I think to myself. Although I'd prefer that to him forcing me. Not long now, he murmurs, and I'm astonished at how much ground we've covered and disheartened. How was it that Damien and Jonathan beat him to my pack? When he can run like this for long distances. He must have made a mistake and gone in the wrong direction, it's the only thing that makes sense. I'm terrified by what he'll do to me when we reach whatever destination he has in mind. Something tells me it's not at a pack. No, I think desperately, my eyes beginning to shut. Not now. Don't do this to me, I plead in my mind, but my body isn't listening to my desperate pleas. My eyelids close shut and refuse to open. My body is beginning to feel like it's floating. The tranquilizer is beginning to set in and I curse in my mind. The last thing I remember before falling into a deep and heavy sleep, is Thomas kissing me on the forehead and muttering, "Soon you'll be mine forever, Winter, till death do us part." Kai POV. I head inside, after telling Damien, Jonathan, and Langdon that for today, it's all over and dusted with again. There's been no sign of Thomas and it's frustrating. Where was hiding? Was he even coming for Winter, or was this all made up by Damien, to keep his sister afraid? I'm suspicious of the lot of them, and I don't like the fact that Winter is out there, putting herself on the line as bait. It's not fair. It's not right to ask her to put herself in danger like that. Our mate will be fine, Kai. She's strong and she has an inner strength that will do her well. Yeah, well, I don't trust Damien and Jonathan. What if they're lying to us? Why would they lie? Because Storm, Jonathan wants Winter as his mate. Don't think I haven't seen the way he looks at her, when he thinks I can't see him. He thinks he can get another chance with her. He's not getting his hands on our mate, but I don't think he's lying. I think that you're jealous. You telling me you're not Storm? He was her mate first after all. Even if he did reject her. Oh, I'm jealous, but if he steps out of line, I'll rip him to shreds. You're just being too nice. It's unlike you. That's 'cause Winter will kill me if I do anything to harm them. I promised her I wouldn't. True, just give them a chance. After all, if Winter trusts them, then maybe we should as well. I'll think about it, I tell Storm grumpily, cutting him off. The boys head into the study, which becomes dangerously crowded and confined with everyone in there. It's very claustrophobic. We should have stayed out there longer, Damien protests to me. Isn't he more likely to strike at night time? I glower at him. Jonathan fidgets in the chair and Langdon looks completely neutral. Where's the loyalty? Stupid mate Bond, making him all googly-eyed at Damien. I scowl at the both of them. I'm not having Winter out there at nighttime, I say dangerously quiet. It's bad enough that she's out there until now. Nighttime is just asking for trouble, I huff. It could be the reason he hasn't attacked though. Langdon speaks up and I scowl at him. Now he wants to talk. He sees the look on my face and falls silent. Smart man. My hands are itching to place themselves around anyone's throat. She's not going to be out there at night time, I reiterate, and Jonathan just sighs and stares out the window. What is his problem? Would he dare ask his mate to do the same thing? I don't think so. I think that's a mistake, Damien protests while Langdon clears his throat, looking at me pointedly. He's a hybrid now, remember? Don't vampires prefer the nighttime? I eye him coldly. For a brother, you seem awfully keen to put your sister into danger, I growl pointedly. He goes pale. I'm not finished yet. I lean back against my chair and intertwine my fingers, regarding the lot of them with contempt, well except for Langdon. I just stare at him annoyed. For all I know you've been lying about Thomas coming for Winter, I thunder, and if that's the case, it would be best for you to come clean right now. Damien explodes. We wouldn't have traveled all this way to lie about something like this. I get that you're my sister's mate, but I'm her brother and I love her. I want her to be safe, he snapped. She wasn't exactly safe from you though, was she back then? I ask and he trembles beneath my glare. He knows precisely what I'm talking about because he avoids my gaze, rubbing the back of his neck and looking remorseful. Part of me enjoyed getting that small dig in. Whatin is taking Winter so long to come back? I frown. I know how much she enjoys the sunset, but still, she could have at least mind-linked me if she was planning on staying out to watch it. I try to mind-link her and frown. Nothing. I can't get through to her at all. I start to feel slightly panicked and turn to Langdon. Can you mind-link Winter at all? I ask slowly and he blinks at me surprised but tries while I watch. A frown comes onto his face and I begin to panic. This isn't good. No, he breathes, I'm not getting through to her at all. Well, she hasn't blocked me then, not that I thought she had. My eyes meet Damien's, who looks panicked. The snipers, I say and try them, perplexed when I can't mind-link them either. I stand up. Either the snipers are out of commission and can't mind-link or it's something worse. I feel dread in my gut. Don't let it be what I think it is. I race out towards the nearest sniper and halt in my tracks. The smell of blood is potent, drifting in the air, and my stomach churns with disgust. I'm forced to step around the tree and there is one of my pack members, a trusted sniper, lying there. That wasn't the most horrific thing though. It looked like he'd been drained of blood, he was that incredibly pale, but Thomas had done far worse than that. The sniper's guts were literally ripped open and left all along the floor, vital organs missing. I feel nauseous and am fighting not to be sick. In all my years as an alpha, I've never seen anything so horrendous. He showed no mercy or compassion to the poor shifters who were now dead. Mother of God, whispers Langdon, kneeling beside the body. The eyes are blankly staring up at the sky. I bet the other sniper is in the same condition, I say grimly. Jonathan and Damien are quiet. We need to find Winter, Damien says to me shakily, his eyes never leaving the body that's lying there, right in the open. Patrol are mind-linking me and I close my eyes, listening. Alpha Chi, there's signs of a struggle in the forest where Winter was last seen. Stay there, I'm coming. Any sign of Winter? None, we're all searching now for her. We didn't hear any screams or signs she was in danger. I'm sorry that we've failed you, Alpha Chi. Never mind, get the best trackers we have out here. I want every available one out there searching for her. Already done it, sir. Right, give me a minute and we'll meet you there. Don't move. I will be right here waiting. I cut the mind link off. Come with me, I growl at everyone and we head towards the forest where Winter was last seen, where she'd been pacing back and forth for Thomas to come get her. I feel disgusted in myself. How many times am I going to fail my mate? How many times am I going to curse myself for my stupidity? She could be going through hell right now and it was because I let my guard down. Seth, the warrior who mind-linked me, met me at the edge of the forest. She must have been coming back in, then, when she was attacked. He brandishes something at me, that he's clutching in his hand. What is it? I growl and he hands it to me. It's a small tranquilizer dart. I give it a sniff and raise my eyebrows. Wolfsbane, I mutter, no wonder I can't mind-link her. We're wasting time, Jonathan shouts as I stare at him. Winter is out there, with the madman, and we're wasting time when we should be out there looking for her. Are you insane? He almost screams at me. I'm being patient. The little pup is distraught after all, but if he continues, I'm going to fling him into the dungeon. Calm down, pup, I mutter and turn to Seth. Was she wearing the bracelet that I gave her? He gives a smirk and a nod. Yes, Alpha Chi, she was. Excellent, fetch Morgan, I demand, and he nods, disappearing slightly. Who is Morgan? Asks Damien. Wait and see. Sure enough, Morgan comes trailing towards me. He pushes his large spectacles up his nose and greets me with a grim expression on his face. Sorry about Winter, Alpha Chi, he says remorsefully. Never mind that, I cut in impatiently. Can you bring up Winter's location? Sure, he says easily, opening up his laptop. Kai Langdon says, apparently cottoning on. Did you put a GPS tracker on Winter's bracelet? It's embedded in it. Winter doesn't even know that it's tracking her movements. Genuous, whistles Langdon, and even Damien is looking far less hysterical now. Jonathan is continuing to scowl in the background. I shrug. Can't help everyone. But if he doesn't stop soon, I'm going to wipe his anger of his face with a well-aimed fist. It takes a minute for Morgan to locate the GPS signal, but when he does, he shows it to me on screen, his eyes wide in disbelief. It's moving incredibly fast. He breathes faster than a shifter can move. It makes tracking it difficult because it keeps jumping off the screen, he adds, annoyed. Can you keep tracking it? I can, he says slowly, but your best bet is to go in the same direction and hope that he eventually stops. Otherwise you're never going to catch up to him, he murmurs, peering at his laptop screen. Hybrid. Right, I say decisively, turning to the small group I'm leaving to go after Winter. Morgan, do you have earpieces we can use to communicate with you? Of course, he says, putting the laptop down and retrieving another case I hadn't even noticed until now. But they're not going to work in your wolf forms. You'll have to go by car, he says. That's fine. It will be slower, but as you said, he has to stop at some stage. I murmur, we'll just have to rely on that. I'm coming too, Damien growls. Me too, Jonathan snaps. I roll my eyes and look over at Langdon, who is fidgeting nervously. Let me guess, I say, Riley, you want to come as well? I would, Langdon says formally, but if you require me to stay back at the pack, then I'll follow your instructions, Alpha Chi. No, you can come. That way you can stop her brother here. I point to a stunt Damien from doing anything stupid. I finish. Even though I suspect that Jonathan is the one that I have to keep an eye on. Morgan hands over the earpieces. It's a pleasure to help you, sir, he says shyly, and I have to remind myself that he's only 16 years old as I place the piece in my ear. You should be able to hear me now, he adds, and I nod, impressed. This gadget is cool. Right, Jonathan, you're coming in the car with me, I growl, while mind-linking several warriors to follow us as well. Damien and Langdon, you can both go together in Langdon's car. They nod. Good. I'm not wasting time with arguments. I thank Morgan and run towards the garage, getting into the driver's seat and waiting impatiently for Jonathan to get in the passenger seat. I don't say a word, turning the key in the ignition and pulling out with a squeal of my tires. Head southeast, Morgan's voice comes into my head. I already have a GPS tracker installed in my car, as does every other pack member, so he can easily locate us. I follow his instructions, Langdon and Jonathan right behind me. Hold on, Winter, I think to myself grimly, trying not to think about what she's going through. Just hold on a little longer, baby, we're coming to save you. Be brave, sweetheart, be brave. I'm going to kill him for daring to lay a hand on you. Winter POV. It's dark. That's the first thing I notice when I open my eyes. My eyelids feel gritty and I wipe them with the back of my hand, cursing at the feeling of silver restraints preventing me from doing much else. This is bringing back some horrible memories of the last time, but when I glance around, there's no one there. I don't know where I am, let alone how far we traveled, but something tells me it had to have been a fair distance. My bracelet has been taken by Thomas, the one that Kai gave me. Hopefully Kai has noticed I've gone missing, but I'm not sure how well they'll do at tracking me when Thomas can move so unbelievably fast. He's twice as fast, maybe triple what a shifter is. I scan the room and frown, puzzled. There's pews sitting in the room, and when I try to whip my head around, I can see an altar of some kind sitting there, a large cross in the background. There are candles burning in the far corner, but other than that, there's no other lighting at all. Where am I? I suck in a breath as realization dawns. I'm in a church. Thomas has taken me to a church. I can't even tell if it's abandoned or if he's killed anyone that lives here. I desperately hope it's the former. Maybe he's just brought me here to sleep? But my heart is thumping wildly in my chest and my mouth feels incredibly dry. I'm so thirsty and my stomach is growling with hunger. How much time has passed since Thomas kidnapped me? My legs are chained together and I hiss, uncomfortable as the silver digs into my skin, burning it. Still, I struggle and persevere, managing to get to my feet without toppling over. A small success. I try to mind-link Sabriel. She answers immediately. Winter, you don't have much time until Thomas comes back. I don't know if this is a good idea. What do you want me to do, Sabriel? Lie back down and just wait for him to come back, to do God knows what to us? No way, I'd rather die. I am sure Kai is trying to track us down. He knows we're missing by now, and don't forget that Damien, Jonathan, and even Langdon will be out searching for us. I still don't want to rely on them to save me, Sabriel. I'm kind of getting sick of it, to be honest. Don't talk like that. There's nothing wrong with needing help, Winter. It doesn't make you weak. But it makes me feel weak, Sabriel, and I'm tired of feeling that way. She says nothing more to me, but I can sense her anxiety as I do an awkward hop towards the pews. I have no plan, other than to get out of there before Thomas comes back from wherever he's gone. I make it halfway, cursing, panting, sweat dripping off my forehead, when I sense I'm not alone. I waited too long, took too much time. I raise my head as the doors bang wide open, two red glowing eyes glaring at me. I swallow nervously and lose my balance, toppling over face first. Sabriel was right. I should have just waited instead of trying to escape. I give an angry shriek as Thomas picks me up like a sack of potatoes and deposits me, hard, back in my original location as I scowl up at him. He looks pissed off. He's also clutching a grocery bag in his hand. I really hope that his eyes weren't glowing while he was supposedly shopping or stealing. For all I know, we're residing in a human town. Seriously, Winter, he barks. You try to escape, the second I'm gone he explodes. I cringe from the anger in his voice. But what does he honestly expect from me? To lie still and be a good little prisoner? Here he mutters, throwing the bag at my feet. I look at him tentatively and reluctantly reach for it. There's a bottle of water and a bagel in it. I eye it, my mouth watering as Thomas folds his arms over his chest. It's not poisoned, he says when I shoot him a suspicious glance. I debate my options. I can't trust Thomas, but my stomach hurts, it's in that much hunger. The water bottle looks relatively safe, and I unscrew the lid and take a good long swallow, feeling the coldness against my dry throat in welcome relief. The bagel looks all right to me and I tentatively take a bite, almost moaning from the taste of it, my stomach churning in appreciation. I swallow the food and take another bite, Thomas's eyes on me the entire time. Thomas, I rasp out, finishing the last few bites of bagel and feeling satisfied, even though I'm not completely full. Why am I here? It's not to be friends, so spit it out, I almost snarl, my temper igniting again. Sabriel is still quiet in my mind and it's a little disheartening. Is she really that afraid of Thomas? Of course it's not to be friends. Thomas laughs lightly, sounding incredulous and giving me a disbelieving look. I want so much more than that, he growls, coming closer. My heart sinks. I thought this might be the case, but to hear it come from his lips is causing me to become paralyzed with fear. My heart beats painfully, reminding me that for now, I am still alive. He comes close and I shiver as he reaches over and grasps a large chunk of my hair, sniffing it and giving a low growl. You smell so nice, he almost purrs, and I shudder. But then you always did smell so sweet to me, he says, moving his head. Like a meadow of flowers. Not like all those other girls, he scowls, they just reek of cheap perfume and cigarettes. By the way, you can thank me, he adds, and I stare at him confused. I know what the girls did to you, he says softly, the way they tried to kill you for my supposed death. Jessica was the main culprit, wasn't she? I took care of her for you. I feel bile rising up in my throat and close my eyes, forcing myself to breathe and not throw up the meager contents of my stomach. "What do you mean, you took care of her?" I ask, and he gives a small chuckle. "I guess I have to spill it out for you," he says, amused. "I killed her, and not quickly either. I did it before I actually left our small town," he says calmly, "which is why it took a little longer to get here. I had to hide the body and the evidence. You should have seen the look on her face when she saw me. She was so happy," he chortled, shaking his head, "and then when she realized why I was there, well," he paused, "then you should have heard her screams. Ah, they were delightful," he murmurs, "worth being a little longer so that I can show you how much I love you." I stared at him horrified. He killed Jessica. I can't believe it. As much as I had hated her, she hadn't deserved to die at Thomas's hand on my behalf. I can't even imagine the torture he would have put her through either. I can't help it. I lean over to the side and puke my guts up while Thomas hastily backs away and wrinkles his nose. "Winter," he admonishes me, and I look at him helplessly as he wipes my mouth with the back of his shirt and gives me more water. Tears prick the corner of my eyes. "I also thought I took care of your damn brother," swears Thomas, "but I should have been more careful. I saw him, and that annoying Jonathan at the pack. I'm not stupid, not to mention the Alpha and you." "The Alpha and me," I say quietly, and watch his eyes go even redder. "Your mates, aren't you?" he spits out, his hands clenching into fists. "I saw the way you looked at each other when you thought it was safe." "I see the mark on you," he hisses. "I can't believe you would betray me like that," he whispers. "It's not poisoned," he says when I shoot him a suspicious glance. "I haven't betrayed you, you psychotic." I want to yell out loud, but instead I bite my lip and look away, Thomas breathing heavily in what I'm hoping is an attempt to calm down. "It doesn't matter," he murmurs. "I can undo the mark and we can still be together. You will be my chosen mate," he vows, and I look at him panicked. What did he mean by removing or undoing my mark? That's impossible, isn't it? He had to be lying, trying to scare me, I decide, but a small part of me isn't so sure. Especially with the way he's licking his lips. His fangs slowly come out of hiding and gleam in the darkness with the candlelight flickering over them. It's almost like being trapped inside a horror movie. He moves his head at me as my eyes widen. "Thomas, we can work this out," I plead desperately, hoping to distract him. "We are working this out," he mutters. "Don't think that I'm not aware you're being tracked," he snaps, "by that precious alpha mate of yours and that annoying brother. They're ruining my plans," he snarls. I try to back away but can't as he kneels over me. He licks his lips again. "I'm hungry," he whispers, "and I want that mark gone, Winter. You're only going to bear my mark for now and forever," he says vehemently. I stare at him, tears trailing down my cheeks. "Thomas, don't do this to me," I beg. "Please, don't drain my blood." He laughs, loudly, his head thrown back. "I'm not going to drain your blood," he sneers. "I just want a taste, plus I need to bite you, to mark you," he growls. I feel his hand grip the back of my neck as I begin to sob, his grip strong enough that I can't move as he pushes my head to the side, exposing the nape of my neck to him. He trails a finger down it, tracing my mark as I sob. "Don't worry," he whispers, in an effort to be reassuring. "It will only hurt for a minute," he promises. I say nothing, trying to wriggle my body, but it doesn't do any good. His grip is just too strong. I feel ashamed. Kai is going to be upset if our mark is removed. It was his official claim on me, and I treasure it. I feel his fangs slowly piercing me, right in the center of the mark, Thomas biting down as I shriek at him to stop. Pain floods my body as I feel him sucking at my blood, his hand never once moving. It's excruciating. It feels like I'm slowly dying. How much blood is he going to take? I'm so hazy now. My entire body is tense though as he continues to make small moans as he feeds on me. So delicious, he mutters, and to my relief I feel his fangs slowly withdrawing, the pain slowly fading along with. I shudder at the feel of his coarse tongue on my skin as he seals the wound closed. I frantically look at the nape of my neck and my heart skips a beat. Kai's mark is gone. It's completely gone and instead there's puncture marks on my neck. Thomas looks pleased. Now all I have to do is bite you with my shifter teeth and you're mine, he crows. I'm in shock, my body feeling like it's floating. I make a strangled noise, one of anguish as I fall face down to the floor. Thomas rolls me over and all I see is his eyes looking down at me. I forgot to mention that it will make you pass out again, he says nonchalantly as I close my eyes in resignation. The last thing I hear before I succumb to the darkness surrounding me, is his voice, "Get ready because I want you to perform the ceremony when she wakes up." Damien POV. I'm fuming when we get in the car. Kai's so-called plan for keeping my sister safe, was an absolute joke. Look where it's gotten us. Winter's been kidnapped by Thomas, despite us warning her. He sucks as a mate for my sister. I never should have trusted him with her, no matter how much Winter tried to convince me to. As it is, my hands are clenched into fists when we begin to pull out. If I could have gotten my hands on Alpha Kai, I would have hit him for failing her and us. This was all his fault. Part of me though, recognizes it's my fault as well and that I should share the blame in this. Langdon reaches over to take my hand and I reluctantly let him, feeling the usual sparks tingling in my body when we touch. Straight away I calm down and I know it's because of him. He looks grim, focused on the driving, shooting me sidelong glances every so often, as though to make sure I'm all right. I'm not. All I can think about is the fact that I've failed to protect her once again. I should have fought harder for a different plan instead of going along with it. I should have come up with something that would have been better than this failure. My God, I'm a useless excuse of a brother. The car swerves, sending me flying into the window, Langdon easily doing way over the speed limit and looking unconcerned about it. Hey, he says as I straighten myself back up again, it's going to be all right. We're going to find your sister, he adds vehemently. I just blink at him. He doesn't understand, does he? How much does he know about Thomas and what he attempted to do to her the last time? How much has Winter actually divulged to him? Something tells me she held some stuff back. What if we're not in time? I ask dully, what if we're too late to save her? He falls silent and I stare out the window, glaring at the stupid scenery. You and Winter are close, aren't you? He asks slowly. I have to think about the answer. To be truthful, we're not as close as I'd like, but I like to think that we're at least good friends. We're sort of close, I answer Langdon, who gives a small nod and pulls into the next lane. I know about your father, he says softly, and I'm stunned. Had Winter divulged her past to Langdon, or had Kai spilled her secrets? Your sister told me, he says casually. My heart sinks. Does that mean she told him all about me and what I'd done? My spirits deflate like a lead balloon. He notices my distress. She told me all about you, Damien, he says quietly, reaching over and gripping my hand tightly. I know what you did, how you bullied her at school and at home. But I also know that you had a drunken alcoholic father, that encouraged you to do those things, and who I know you were afraid of. I'm not judging you here. You did what you had to do to survive. Anyone would have done the same in your shoes. That doesn't excuse any of it, I say harshly, yanking my hand back. Watching as the scenery passes by in a blur. I could have stood up to him and told him no. I could have stopped bullying her at school and let her at least be in peace there. Instead, I made her life a living hell. My voice trembles. He gives me a sympathetic look, but I'm not looking for sympathy. I deserve everything that happens to me and more. She also told me about how you changed, not long before she ran away. How you became the big brother she'd always wanted and needed. She talked about you all the time, Damien. You were always in her thoughts. I can only imagine how guilty she felt when she didn't communicate with you once she reached the pack. She loves you, Damien, he tells me firmly. I believe she always has, despite everything. I'm silent. How Winter can love me, forgive the past, continues to astonish me. It's that kind of nature that caused her to be bullied so relentlessly. Because back then she never stood up for herself. My eyes meet Langdon's. I don't know what I'm going to do. If we get there too late, I choke out. I can't bear to think of her being hurt. I trail off, or worse. I don't even want to think of the worse. I want to get my hands on Thomas, choke him, make sure he never harms poor Winter ever again. Langdon sighs. We can't predict the future, Damien, all we can do is focus on the present. But what I will say, and point out, is that Alpha Kai is beating himself up right now over Winter being kidnapped. Just like you are, he points out with a sigh. I don't want to hear it. I blame Kai for all of this. The plan was his idea, I point out angrily. I said it was a stupid one. Langdon sighs. Winter agreed to it, Damien, she even added to the plan. Do you think Winter is stupid, he points out, and I scowl at him blackly. How dare he imply that? I don't like the way he turned my question around. Stupid, logical Langdon. Suddenly he pulls over. What are you doing? I ask nervously. He holds up a hand and gestures for me to be quiet. It must be the earpiece. I frown. I hadn't been given one, only Kai and Langdon. I would kill to know what was going on right now. It must be important for Langdon to have pulled over when we were only just behind Kai as it was. Langdon is listening intently. There's a bewildered look on his face and he looks pissed. He's moving his head and shaking it. I wonder what the person on the other end of the earpiece is saying. What is going on? I almost want to grab him by the shoulders and shake him back and forth, screaming in his face for answers, and it's taking all my self-control not to do that and to wait patiently for him to finish. When he finally turns to me, there's a nervous look in his eyes. Something tells me, I'm about to lose it, especially since Langdon's making no move to touch me or calm me down in any way, shape or form. I need you to remain calm, Langdon says evenly. Big mistake. He probably should have led with something else, because my temper, which is close to the surface anyway, ignites. Spit it out, I snarl. Tell me what's going on, Langdon. Why did we stop? He bites his lip and looks away for a minute. I think he's trying to gather his thoughts and is thinking about what to say. I fold my arms across my chest impatiently. Okay, well the thing is he starts after exhaling heavily that Winter's location has disappeared. It looks like Thomas has either gotten rid of Winter's bracelet, or managed to break the tracking device. I swear, long and loud, wanting to do nothing more than thump the steering wheel or break a window. Now what are we going to do? We were relying on that tracking device for heaven's sake. How are we going to find her now? But Langdon says tentatively we do have her last location. It's our best shot, he answers looking grim. We'll have to find her once we reach there. I glare at him. What good is knowing her last location? If they decide to start moving again, I explode. What you really mean is that we've lost her, and we've lost her for good. I'm silent. How Winter can love me, forgive the past, continues to astonish me. It's that kind of nature that caused her to be bullied so relentlessly. Because back then she never stood up for herself. My eyes meet Langdon's. I don't know what I'm going to do. If we get there too late, I choke out. I can't bear to think of her being hurt. I trail off, or worse. I don't even want to think of the worse. I want to get my hands on Thomas, choke him, make sure he never harms poor Winter ever again. Not true, denies Langdon. According to Morgan, they've been in the same location for more than an hour. It's possible they've stopped to rest and we can catch up with them, he says calmly. He's too damn calm for my liking. He steps back inside the car. What are we waiting for then? I growl as he starts the car back up, glances in the rearview mirror and then peels out. Morgan lost our location, which is why I had to stop the car, he answers. Otherwise he couldn't give us directions and we'd be going nowhere. Oh. Now I understand. I feel a little sheepish, but not so much that I'm about to apologize, even if I feel bad. Langdon doesn't deserve me taking all my anger out on him. How far out are we? I ask nervously. Langdon glances at me. We're about 2 hours away, depending on traffic conditions and if we speed or not. I'm currently speeding, so who knows? 2 hours, I say dismayed. They'll have moved by then for sure. Langdon shakes his head. We just have to hope they don't. Winter is a smart girl, smarter than you give her credit for. You need to realize she's also stronger than you believe her to be as well. Don't think it's all hopeless, because it's not. There is always hope. His eyes glaze over and I realize he's mind-linking someone. Probably Alpha Chi. I wonder how Jonathan's doing, being in the same car as that. He's probably pissed off, but someone had to go in the car with him and it wasn't going to be me. Jonathan could deal with the big angry Alpha. Kai is going ahead. He's several minutes ahead of us. He'll meet us there, he's not going to wait on us. Of course he wouldn't. He's a big bad Alpha. He's not going to wait for backup, even if it makes sense to. He has to show off his prowess and how strong he is to his pack and to us. He's going to be a show-off, I just know it. He better not do anything reckless and get Winter hurt, or else I'm going to kill him. Fine, I tell Langdon dismissively, but I don't want to be too far behind him. I don't trust him not to make another mistake, I add bitterly. His jaw clenches and I know he's upset with the way I talk about his Alpha, but I'm beyond caring as he puts his foot to the gas pedal and goes even faster. After this is all over and done with, Langdon and I are going to have to discuss our relationship and where we want to go from here. Once Winter is safe, that is. I don't even know what I want yet. All I know is that when Langdon touches me, I get goosebumps all over. I want to be by his side all the time. I like waking up next to him in the bed, even though all we do is just cuddle each other. But is that enough for me to stay with my mate forever? I don't even know what Langdon's thinking. Where he sees this relationship going. Right now's not the time to question him either. We're so close, I think to myself a little desperately. Winter, we're so close and we're coming. I don't care what it takes, what you have to do, you need to stay in that place until we can get there. You need to fight, if you have to, because all of us are coming for you, and when we get there, Thomas is a dead hybrid who will never hurt you again. Please be safe, sweet sister of mine, please be alive, I think frantically and glance down at my clock. IHRN 45 minutes to go until we got there. I was going to be counting down the minutes until we reached her location. Please stay there, I think desperately, we're coming. Winter POV. This time when I open my eyes, there's a piercing pain in my neck, the pain is still there and it's excruciating. Not only that, but I still feel dazed, out of it and extremely disorientated. I don't know how much blood Thomas decided to help himself to, but it feels like it was a lot. Otherwise why would I be so damn weak? I trace the mark which is now non-existent on my neck sadly. I loved that mark. Now I was going to have to get Kai to mark me again, and there was no guarantees he would want to. Damn you to hell, Thomas. A coughing noise draws my attention and I glance up towards the altar, where it appears to be coming from. My eyes widen in disbelief. Tied to the altar is a man, but not just any man, a man dressed in a priest's uniform. I take a long sniff and crinkle my nose. I can't sense him being a shifter and I'm relatively sure that he's not a vampire. Why was he there? How could Thomas have tied up a human, for heaven's sake? I had thought this church was abandoned, but apparently it wasn't. Where were the rest of the people? Thomas couldn't have killed them all, could he? He's gagged, so he can't speak. I sigh and then move my hands, my eyes looking down in shock as I realize while they are still restrained they aren't shackled to my legs anymore, giving me some freedom to move around. The silver burns, but it's a slight annoyance in the grand scheme of things. That's not the worst part though. I shudder. I can't believe how violated I feel. He touched me while I was sleeping. I'm no longer wearing the clothes I had originally put on. Instead, I see with dread, I'm wearing a white gown, that definitely resembles a wedding dress. I feel bile rise up in my throat. Had he taken liberties with me while I was sleeping? Surely not. I feel sick to my stomach. Bad enough he dressed me while I slept. I wish I had the bracelet that Kai gave me. Thomas took it and I don't know what he did with it. Where is he? Then I see the pair of glowing red eyes behind the priest and swallow. He looks mad, half crazy. His hair is disheveled. I wonder if it's due to the result of being a hybrid and one that hadn't been born but created. He steps forward and I instantly cringe, curling up into a ball. I'm afraid, my teeth are chattering. He seems to be unhinged and that's what frightens me the most. As for Sabriel, I cannot hear her and I'm wondering if he gave me more wolfsbane while I was unconscious. I would have given anything to have heard my wolf in that moment, even if it was just for some reassurance. She would have kept my spirits up in a heartbeat. How do you like your dress? Thomas asks smoothly, stepping forward. I glance at him in contempt. He too has gotten dressed up and is now wearing a tux of all things. It doesn't take a genius to put two and two together. He's trying to get us married, it explains the poor priest who's tied up at the altar. This is definitely not how I envisioned getting married in my dreams. I can't say I like it, I spit out at him and his eyes narrow. Before I can stop him, he takes a step forward and swings his hand forward, slapping me directly across the face. It's the first time he's hurt me since he's taken me, and I put a hand up to my stinging cheek, staring at him as he looks apologetic all of a sudden. I'm sorry, Winter, he croons at me, looking worried. It's just that I went to so much trouble to get that dress for you and then you insulted it. I'm sorry, I say automatically. Man, he was stronger than he realized. The pain was much more than just a simple slap. He looks pleased at my apology. Good, good, he mutters, helping me to stand and supporting me as I sway back and forth on my feet, feeling dizzy and lightheaded. This is no good, you can barely stand, he says, slightly annoyed. Then he places me leaning against the altar and darts forward. He begins to untie the poor fellow tied to the altar, and I know it's not because he's about to let the man go free. Stay back from me, demon, the priest says shakily as he's untied. I see Thomas roll his eyes at the man, and his fangs slowly protrude from his mouth. The man flinches. I see on his shoulder 2 marks and realize that Thomas has taken his blood as well. The poor priest must feel as dizzy as I am. I'm not a demon, Thomas roars at him, but so help me I can turn into one, if you don't do as I say. Don't make me kill the rest of them, he snaps, and I realize he must have stashed the other people somewhere so that the man would be forced to do his bidding. What do you want from me? The priest asks shakily, swaying back and forth on his feet. He's completely pale, ashen, and there's sweat beading on his forehead. He looks unwell. I wonder if I'm faring better, simply because I'm a shifter and not completely human like this poor guy. My shifter blood probably replenishes the lost blood far more quickly than if I was human. Isn't it obvious? Thomas growls with a grim expression on his face, gesturing towards me as I stay leaning against the altar, feeling weak as a newborn kitten. I want you to marry the both of us. All the blood drains out of my face. I don't want to marry him, but I can't exactly force my body to move, to run. If I managed to, he'd snatch me up in a heartbeat, being much quicker than I am at running. Stupid hybrid powers, I think miserably. I wish Sabriel was here. God, where was Kai when I needed him? If I was to marry anyone, I wanted it to be him. I even pray that he, Damien, Jonathan, Langdon are all searching for me. If only I could have left some clues for them to follow. But I'd been unconscious for the majority of it all. Maybe they had a backup plan, I think to myself. I was violently hoping if they were to find me, it would be soon. I cannot marry someone who is unwilling, the priest says quietly, though he's trembling all over, and the young lady does not look like she wants to get married. I want to smile at the man, but I know that Thomas is furious. Marry us, I say, before he can threaten the innocent people he's got tied up somewhere. It's for the greater good, priest, if it means saving innocent people, I say pointedly. Thomas gives the man a wicked grin and comes back to my side, holding me firmly at the waist as tears come to the corner of my eyes. After the ceremony, I'm going to mark you as mine forever, he promises, and I stifle a sob. This was my worst nightmare coming true. The priest looks uncertain, but I give him a pleading look. I don't want people killed because of me, not when I have the ability to prevent it. We need witnesses, the priest says uncertainly. We do, snarls Thomas, just do it already. You can pretend there are witnesses, now get a move on, he threatens. I say nothing. If I do, I might just be sick all over myself. The priest takes a deep breath, a Bible laying on the altar in front of him, a nervous expression on his face. He looks at me apologetically, but he's not to blame for any of this. Instead, I blame myself. I was so sure I'd killed Thomas back then, but I'd apparently failed. This is all my fault. It's karma getting back at me. I close my eyes as the priest begins to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today, to witness the union between this man, he motions to Thomas, who speaks Thomas, and this woman Winter, Thomas fills in today. I can't bear to listen to the words as he speaks them. I tune out. I feel numb, dead inside. I know what Thomas is going to do after this ceremony, and I'm tense, preparing myself. I would rather die than let him mark me. I won't let him violate my body like that, let alone have a wedding night of nightmares. If I have to kill myself first, then I will, but I'd rather fight until the end. The priest, I'm fairly certain, is going on and on, prolonging the ceremony for as long as possible. I thank him with my eyes when I open them, but it's all for naught. Unless Kai comes bursting in, but the more time goes by, the more deflated I feel. Not much longer, Thomas whispers, licking his lips as I stare at him in revulsion. Just think about our wedding night, Winter. I'm going to make it so special for the both of us, he whispers. Tears trail down my cheeks and the priest pauses, seeing it. I move my head, imploring him to continue, as Thomas's eyes turn even more red in his anger. The priest looks at me helplessly as he continues the ceremony. If anyone should object to this holy matrimony, booms the priest, let them speak now or forever hold their peace. There's silence. Then the doors to the church burst open, and a disheveled Kai comes racing in, with Damien, Jonathan and Langdon. His jaw is clenched and he looks absolutely furious, especially when he takes in the scene. A growl fills the air. The priest looks like he's about to faint. I object, Kai growls as Thomas grips me tightly, holding me in front of him, hissing. She's mine, Thomas hisses. You no longer have a claim on her, Alpha Kai, he adds triumphantly, indicating my bare neck. For a moment there's silence as Kai looks at my neck and sees his mark is now gone. Then all hell breaks loose. Kai roars and there's low growling coming from the rest of them as they shift to their wolf forms. Thomas moves my head to the side, even as I try to fight it, his fangs pointing out. Come any closer and I'll drain her blood before you get to me, he threatens. Kai is pissed and stuck. He makes one move and Thomas takes the blood from my body. He's too frightened to put me in danger. The priest makes a bolt for it and Thomas lets him go, more focused on keeping me from moving. He lightly places his fangs against my neck as I shudder. Kai's eyes widen. Don't do it, he cries, and Thomas grins. Back away, he orders, and Kai slowly backs up, the wolves doing the same, although they look angry, snapping their jaws up and down at him. Thomas ignores all of them. "How dare you ruin my wedding day," he says, and Kai looks nonplussed. "He's crazy," I mouth to Kai, and he gives a small nod. "Winter is mine, Mark or no Mark," Kai says firmly. "She is my mate and I love her." "You are a crazy hybrid that needs to be put down," he spits out, making Thomas angry. Great. Both of them are fighting with words. Screw this, I think to myself and tense my body up. I have one shot at this, and if I end up, then I'm a goner. But would that be such a bad thing if Thomas is going to kill me anyway? At least this way I would have attempted something instead of standing there and letting it happen. I look at Kai, trying to convey I was about to do something. I hope he gets the message. His eyes darken at the look on my face. Without further ado, I smack my head back into Thomas and drop to the floor as he gives out a howl. The next thing I see is a large black wolf, leaping over my body, aiming directly towards a stunned Thomas. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.